your man, KW Master Barber. Did you grow up in the 80s? This is a new episode of Universal Dialogue where you learn and understand more. So subscribe and press that bell indicator. Now, today's topic is growing up in the 80s. The 80s was a serious time but fun time. What I mean by that, back then there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no YouTube, there was no internet. So we had to actually go outside and touch, taste, and smell. Meaning we had to get up off our behinds and go out there and see for ourselves what it is out here in the world. It was no just roll over, plug your cell phone in, and press a button. Nah, that's what made it serious, because you had to go out, you had to see, because nobody wasn't bringing it to you, and they didn't show it on TV. Right now, the fun times was, man, things were just different. Things were just more fun. The way we had fun, it was a respect fun, and sometimes certain fun was serious fun. But when it came time to get serious, times was serious. You know, right? That means you couldn't say certain things to certain people. You couldn't say the wrong thing. You couldn't do the wrong thing. So that means the level of respect was up high. You couldn't go outside your door without having respect, because that's what our parents taught us back then. They taught us to, to respect our elders. They taught us to respect women. They taught us to respect people. So if you went outside your door, you had to give respect. If you didn't give respect, then there was major consequences and repercussions behind not respecting somebody real quick, real fast. That's what made it serious. And that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, back then, neighbors knew neighbors. Neighbors was like family. Neighbors knew each other's child. Today, nobody don't want to speak to you. Nobody don't want to be your neighbor. Your next door neighbor is a stranger to you. Sometimes you may reach out and try to say hi, but nobody don't really want to vibe with nobody no more. Everybody today is wax cold. Everybody is about me, myself, and I, and this is my space, and that's it. It's whack, but it is what it is. Now, lanes, you had people that was in different lanes. Whatever lane you chose to be in, you had to rep that lane. Meaning, if you was a rapper, then you was in that lane. Then you was basically what's called the MC of the neighborhood. So you had to defend that. You had to back that up. So that's what I mean by lane. Whatever lane you chose to be in, you had to back it up. Because if you didn't back it up, you got disrespected, or you got joked on, or people kind of like froze you out and laughed at you and talked about you behind your back because you ain't what you supposed to be. Nowadays, everybody can get on the internet and front like they somebody, but really they not. In my time, you couldn't front like you somebody. If you was fronting, somebody will pull your coattail before the week was out. And if you wasn't about it like you say you was about it, if you wasn't really about it, then you got disrespected, joked on, and froze out. Period. That's what made my time fun, but serious. Now, gangsters, you got so many people around here saying, I'm a gangster. Number one, a gangster didn't say they was a gangster. You just knew they was a gangster, and you knew that they was the person not to mess with. Most of the gangsters back then, back when I was coming up, was real respectful. They spoke to everybody in the neighborhood, but they just did their thing, and we knew that. And most of the time, you never knew they was around because they was quiet. And they was smooth, and it was respectful. But, like I said before, people today confront. So I'm not saying my time is better than this time. It just was different. It just, we was taught certain codes of ethics back then. There's certain things you couldn't do because it just wasn't right. We had a certain moral conduct. All type of things went down back then. You know, of course, you didn't really hear about it or see about it because today you have the internet, so you see everything in your face constantly. And there was fights, right? And there was all type of fights, but most of the time people got into fights, they was alive to live the next day, you know. And there was some brutal fights, but again, people was alive the next day, and sometimes people became friends later. Let's talk about dressing. Dressing was amazing. Nowadays, you can go into a store or go online and just pick out anything you want and put your outfit together, because basically everything comes already made. We was the one that created and fashioned hip-hop. My era was the ones that had created this new music called hip-hop and rap music. And when we came out with it, so many people disrespected us because they called it music from the ghetto. It's nothing but ghetto music. That music is not going nowhere, right? That's just for the jungle. Now you see rap today is making billions of dollars, right, off of our style. Yes, rap went somewhere else, but it still started from somewhere. So I'm here to tell you, back when my time was coming up, man, it was amazing. Now you see this coat on right here, this is a sheepskin coat, because this is a real sheepskin from a sheep. And this was the coat of the century. So many people got robbed for this coat. So many people, you know, used to sport this coat like there was no tomorrow. A whole lot of people died for this coat. And there was females and males that wore the same coat because they came out in different colors. And back then, we used to go down to Delancey Street. Back then, we used to call it D Street. And back then, these coats cost about $125, you know, and it was amazing, you know. So you talking about, if you take this same coat today, and I have seen the newer version, real fly, real smooth, but these coats be costing like $1,500, $1,200, guaranteed. Trust me. Now, this coat that I got on is over 30 years old, but I'm still here. I still got it, and I still rock it. I know you probably seen it from time to time. Either your brothers, your sisters, or your uncles grew up in the 80s. So, you know what? This is KW Master Barber. Thank you for tuning in to a new episode of Universal Dialogue, where you learn and understand more. Next week on my show, Universal Dialogue, the topic is how to live a healthy life. I need to go in on how to live healthy because we all need to have some good tips on how to keep yourself up and live healthy. May the Lord continue to cover you in His blood and bring you to an amazing time in your life, because this is your year. In Jesus' name, peace.